To the topic of how long it should take to close a client, the answer is it depends. It depends what's going on. It depends the size of the problem you're trying to solve. Let's just use an analogy. If you're going in for a toothache, it should be a fairly straightforward procedure. But if you have internal organ issue, possibly cancer, we should not rush into any prescriptive action at all. So the general rule of thumb is the larger size of the engagement, I'm talking about 6 figures, mid 6 figures, even to the 7 figures, it's going to take a lot longer for you to close a sale. And the reason why is people need to do the due diligence. They have to figure out, is this going to break? Are you who you say you are? Who are your clients? Who have you worked with? And they're going to call and check for referrals and references and things of that nature. However, if we remove the size part of it out, ideally, you're able to assess the client's needs and determine a fit on the very first call. And part of the fit check is the budget part. This is the thing that a lot of creatives struggle with because they're uncomfortable talking about money. They have challenges about self-worth, and they want to delay the money conversation as long as possible because they feel that if they say the number and the clients say no, it's going to be not just a rejection of the proposal, but it's going to be a personal rejection and you're going to feel like a failure. So rather than broaching the subject of money, you'll do small talk. You'll try to be friends with the person, and then you'll get to the end of the allotted time and you'll still have not talked about budget. So then you'll hurriedly say, why don't I send you a proposal? Or they'll say, hey, it sounds pretty good, send me a proposal. And then you'll work hours, sometimes days on the proposal. You'll send it to them and you'll never hear from them again. We unfortunately refer to this as ghosting, like they ghosted you. And we feel really bad. And you have a right to feel bad because it feels like you've done work. You were making a connection, but then ultimately they don't even have the courtesy to tell you it's not a good fit. Let me tell you a couple different things here. Put yourself in the role of the person who's the buyer, not the seller. When someone talks about services or product or something that they're going to sell to you, you're probably sitting there thinking about money. Can I afford this? Is this more than what I need? Are you the right person for me? And they're uncomfortable at this, that it's taking so long for you to talk about money. And then eventually in their mind, they have a number, even though they don't say it, even though they might not admit it, they have a number in mind. And if you go beyond that number, they're spooked. They're like, oh, maybe I budgeted too low. I was overthinking this, or whatever it is. So when they receive that number in an email as a PDF or something that you sent a hard copy over, they're now stuck with the dilemma of, what do I do now? I've already wasted all this time talking to Bob or Mary. Do I want to really call them or send them a whole letter? And actually, I got 1,000 other things I need to do today. I just need to think about this. It's causing me too much stress to make a decision, so I just wait. So as the hours turn into days and days turn into weeks sometime, they've already moved on. For whatever reason, they're like, you know what? I don't know what to do with this. I'm gonna not make a decision. I'll give you a perfect example. Right now, quite literally, we're having our pool worked on because there's some water leakage problems. And when they open up one problem, they find a new problem. And then I got another proposal sent over. And it's not a little bit of money, it's like $7,500. I did not wake up this morning thinking I'm going to pay another $7,500 on top of the $9,000 I've already spent to fix the pool problem. And so I'm delaying. And then the contractor's wondering, like, when are you going to make a decision? So they're not sending their people out. You see the problem? We're guilty of it on both sides. Now, you can't control what it's like to be a client, but you can control what it's like to be a seller of services. So you owe it to yourself to be super clear upfront about what it is that you do, how long it's going to take, and especially how much it's going to cost. Now, there's a lot that I personally talk about in terms of value-based pricing. That's an advanced pricing strategy. I don't recommend it for everyone, especially if you're probably watching this video. It's more than what you need. Just sit down and think, what should I charge for work like this? And build a little bit of flexibility in your language so that if it's more than that, you can say, well, this is what it should start at. And if there's nothing crazy, I can deliver the project for that price. But if you want to add other kinds of things, we can sit down and do a more customized bespoke solution or proposal for you, but it will cost more. And the importance here is that you're able to talk about scope and budget and the deliverables and outcomes that they want on the very first call, if possible. That's all we need to know. Now, even if it's a high 6-figure or 7-figure job, you don't want to go through weeks of procurement, of due diligence, only to find out they were thinking 50,000 and you were sitting there coming in at 500 grand. So once we have general orders of magnitude of the scope and the budget, then we can continue on the process of closing the client. But if at any point it doesn't feel like it's a good fit, then you should tell them, I cannot in good faith move forward, knowing that we're not going to be compatible with each other for a number of reasons. It could be for budget, scheduling, expertise, or just a good chemistry fit. It could come down to that. Like, you want to move really fast, I don't move fast. Or I move really fast and I can see that you need days to make decisions and it just doesn't work for me. The best thing for us to do right now is for me to connect you with someone who's more compatible with you, with what you want, with your budget, your timeline, and your temperament, and shake hands, and hopefully sometime in the future we can work together. Here's a quick power tip for you. I know it can be very uncomfortable to talk about money, and I'm going to share something with you that you can try and see how it feels. The number one thing you want to do is you can say something like this: out of respect for your time and mine, I'd like to discuss the budget up front so that if it's not a good fit, we don't have to waste time knowing that it's not going to work out anyways. And then you just tell them, and this is the price. Now, before we get into it, I'm not even committing to this, but I just want to let you know the ballpark price is going to be $5,000 or $15,000 or $50,000, whatever price point you want to say, put in your number there. And so you need to then be still and see how they respond. How does that sound to you, Mr. and Mrs. Client? And they say, that sounds perfect. We're in the ballpark. You're a little bit high. It's actually a lot less than I thought, but you're getting valuable information at this point. And you have to be super attentive to not just what they say, but how they say it, the tone of voice and their body language. I heard this clip from Vanessa Van Edwards when she was talking to Stephen Bartlett, and she goes, the body lives in reality. It's only the mind that lives in imagination. So when we say something that's not true, our body will communicate that, knowing that it's not a true thing. So just think to yourself, like, the last time you said something that wasn't true, like, how did you hold your body? Be mindful of how they're holding their body, not just listening to what they're saying. Because here's an example. When you're like, would you like to move forward? And they say yes. So the body says no, the mouth says yes, right? So yes, that's telling you something is not connecting. Trust the body before you listen to the words. In just a few months, we're going to hit our 400th episode of this podcast. And before we get there, we want to take a moment to really listen to you, our loyal listeners. If you're open to chatting with my producer, Rich Cardona, or someone on his team, we'd love to hear from you. Just fill out the short form in the show notes. It takes less than 20 seconds.